I come to the garden alone, while the dew is still on the roses, and the voice I hear falling on my ear, the Son of God discloses, and he walks with me, and he talks with me, and he tells me I am his own, and the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known. I'd stay in the garden with him, though the night around me be falling, but he bids me go through a voice of woe. His voice to me is calling, and he walks with me, and he talks with me, and he tells me I am his own, and the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known. On a hill far away stood an old rugged cross, the emblem of suffering and shame. And I love that old cross where the dearest and best for a world of lost sinners were slain. So I'll cherish the old rugged cross till my trophies at last I lay down. I will cling to the old rugged cross and exchange it someday for a crown. To the old rugged cross I will ever be true, its shame and reproach gladly bear. Then he'll call me someday to my home far away, where his glory forever I'll share. So I'll cherish the old rugged cross till my trophies at last I lay down. I will cling to the old rugged cross and exchange it someday for a crown. So I'll cherish the old rugged cross till my trophies at last I lay down. I will cling to the old rugged cross and exchange it someday for a crown.
That was Mr. Tom Musgrove, Laytonville Volunteer Fire Department. At this time, we're going to start our memorial service. So everyone, please turn off all cell phones, pagers, and computers at this time, please. Everyone, at this time, would you please rise, if able. We're going to present our colors. Color guard. Brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, special tribute families, tonight we continue a long tradition of honoring those who have served our organizations and have departed this earth. Tonight we have 18 special tributes. 8 were line of duty that were presented flags at the Maryland Fire Rescue Memorial in Annapolis. The other special tributes are officers of the associations. We also remember 468 members who departed this year. When you entered this evening, you were given a candle. Please stand and light your candle when your county is called, and remain standing while you reflect on the person you are here to honor. It is our hope that this memorial will help bring comfort as you see them and reflect on them. Please join me in prayer. Almighty God, we praise your name for those we memorialize this evening. We thank you for their dedication, hard work, friendships, and love. Tonight, as we proceed with this memorial service, we pray that it will bring comfort and pride to those who have been lost over this past year. Just as when Jacob took his father's body to the land of Canaan, we find this in Genesis 50:20. They held a great solemn memorial service. Guide us as we follow that tradition, just as we are told in Ecclesiastes 7:2. It is better to go to the house of mourning than to a house of feasting. For death is the destiny of every man. The living should take heart. Father, we pray for the brokenhearted this evening. Comfort them in your grief. Amen. Tim. Nobody out here. You're supposed to be down front. You're supposed to be down front. Down front.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Tim. You may be seated. We'll now have the welcome from Maryland State Farmers Association President Eric Smothers.
Good afternoon. There we go. Sorry, trying to get the microphone to work. Good afternoon, everyone, and I hope you had safe travels here to Ocean City, and I want to welcome you to our 2024 Fallen Heroes ceremony. It was always great to see everyone here. A lot of the folks here that we're going to honor today, some of us, we knew them. But I want to say to the families, thank you for allowing them to be a part of our service and sharing their pride for their, not only their departments, but also for the Maryland State Firemen's Association and the LA MSFA. It is always difficult to try to get through this service because it's painful to each and every one of us. And we know that some of the emotions are still pretty raw. But I want to again say thank you for coming and thank you for your loved one's service.
Now I'd like to introduce the President of the Ladies Auxiliary to the Maryland State Firemen's Association, President Jean Main, for her comments.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the MSFA and LA MSFA Memorial Service. It's nice to see everyone. Sorry it's under these circumstances, and I have just a little saying for you. Forever cherished, never forgotten. Your kindness echoes in our memories. In remembrance of a life of grace, you'll always be our guiding star.
Thank you, Jean. We'll now have a scripture reading by Chaplain Frank Roth.
Scripture reading is found in Ecclesiastes, the 3rd chapter, verses 1 through 11. In everything there is a season, and a time, in every purpose under heaven, a time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to pluck up that which is planted, a time to kill, a time to heal, a time to break down, and a time to build up, a time to weep, and a time to laugh, a time to mourn, and a time to dance, a time to cast away stones, and a time to gather stones together, a time to embrace, and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to get, and a time to lose, a time to keep, and a time to cast away, a time to rent, and a time to sow, a time to keep silent, and a time to speak, a time to love, and a time to hate, a time of war, and a time of peace. What profit hath a man that worketh in there within he labors? I have seen the travail which God hath given to the sons of men to be exercised in it. He hath made everything beautiful in his time. Also he hath set the world in his heart, so that no man will find out the work that God maketh from beginning to end. May the Lord add blessing to his word.
We will now continue with our special tributes.
Captain David A. Inslee, Jr. After serving 5+ years in the Maryland National Guard during the early 1980s, David A. Inslee, Jr. began his fire department career as a volunteer with the Mardellis Springs Volunteer Fire Department. In 1990, David was hired by the Salisbury Fire Department as a career firefighter paramedic and over the years advanced to the rank of captain. He was an active member of several special operations teams, including the Underwater Recovery Team, the SFD Hazmat Team, the Heat Team, and he became the commander and instructor of the Marine Operations and Dive Team. He also responded as one of the Salisbury Nine in support of search and rescue efforts to Slidell, Louisiana, and the surrounding areas following Hurricane Katrina in 2005. During his many years serving in the fire department, Captain Inslee was exposed to numerous carcinogens and toxins. Near the end of his career with the Salisbury Fire Department, he was diagnosed with lung cancer and began treatments. Captain Inslee retired in 2017, and after a courageous battle with cancer, he passed away on June the 11th, 2018. Captain Inslee was 56 years old and had faithfully served the citizens of Maryland and beyond for over 30 years. Battalion Chief Christopher D. Moreland. After completing his shift on November 10, 2021, Battalion Chief Christopher D. Moreland became ill. He tested positive for COVID virus on November 12th and was admitted to the hospital on November the 18th. Sadly, on December 23rd of 2021, Chief Moreland died due to complications of COVID-19 virus. Chris Moreland joined the Frederick County Division of Fire and Rescue Services on July 18, 1998, as a member of Recruit Class 1, and over the years was promoted up to the rank of Battalion Chief. A decorated firefighter, he was the recipient of the Gold Medal of Valor, 2 life-saving awards, and several unit citations. Chief Moreland was awarded benefits from the Maryland Public Safety Officer Benefits Program on May 27, 2022, and the U.S. Department of Justice awarded Battalion Chief Moreland with benefits from the Federal Public Safety Officers Benefit Program on July 24, 2023. Battalion Chief Christopher David Moreland was 46 years old and had served the citizens of Maryland for 23 years. Firefighter EMT Bryce C. Trosbach. On June 27, 2023, at 4:10 in the morning, Naval District, Washington, Naval Air Station, Patuxent River, Engine 132 was dispatched mutual aid to St. Mary's County for a reported house fire. Firefighter Trosbach responded aboard Engine 132. St. Mary's Chief 1 was first to arrive and reported a single-family home with fire showing on the first and second floors. Engine 132 was the second arriving engine, and the crew advanced a hose line to the front of the structure to assist with fire attack on the first floor. Shortly after the crew made entry, a portion of the first floor collapsed, hurling firefighter Trosbach into the basement. Multiple efforts to rescue him were made, but secondary structure collapses and hoarding conditions in the basement prevented crews from reaching him in time. Once access was finally made, firefighter Trosbach was extricated and he was evaluated by on-scene medical personnel. Tragically, he was pronounced deceased. Bryce Trosbach was born into a fire department family. At age 16, he joined the Leonardtown Volunteer Fire Department as a probationary member, became a junior member, and then a full member at age 18, serving alongside his father, brother, and uncles. He was also a member of the Bay District Volunteer Fire Department. In 2019, he was hired to serve as a career firefighter EMT by the Naval District, Washington Fire and Emergency Services. Firefighter Trosbach was 25 years old and faithfully served the citizens of Southern Maryland and beyond for nearly 10 years. Master Firefighter EMT Kevin J. Teague. On June 15, 2023, Master Firefighter EMT Kevin J. Teague was serving in an administrative capacity while on duty at the Kensington Volunteer Fire Department, Montgomery County Fire and Rescue Station 5. While on duty, Firefighter EMT Teague suffered a medical emergency and was found by colleagues lying on the floor in a stairwell. Immediate aid was rendered, and he was transported to a local hospital. Hospital staff determined that Firefighter EMT Teague had in fact suffered a stroke. Sadly, during his hospital admission, he suffered several additional strokes and he chose to transition into hospice care. He was transferred to Casey House, where he passed on June 27, 2023. Master Firefighter EMT and retired Metropolitan Police Detective Kevin John Teague was 69 years old and had served in the fire department for 13 years. Firefighter Richard E. Blankenship, Jr. Firefighter Richard E. Blankenship, Jr. was born into the fire department family and began serving with the Laurel Volunteer Fire Department. He was hired as a career firefighter for Howard County Department of Fire and Rescue Services on July 9, 2001, and provided exemplary service to the citizens of Howard County throughout his career. He was a fireman's fireman and a hell of a firefighter who loved his job and made such a difference in the lives of those who knew him. Firefighter Blankenship was diagnosed with occupational cancer in December of 2020 and fought a heroic year-long battle. Sadly, he died from the disease on December 20th, 2021. Firefighter Richard Edward Cat Blankenship Jr. was 47 years old and had served the citizens of Maryland for over 20 years. Michael A. McTeague, Jr. On Wednesday, September 20th, 2023, life member Michael A. McTeague, Jr. was on his motorcycle traveling on Urbana Pike heading home after attending a Sandy Spring Volunteer Fire Department membership meeting when he was involved in a single vehicle collision and was thrown from his motorcycle. He was treated on the scene by Frederick County Fire and EMS, then airlifted by Trooper 3 as a Priority 1 Category A to the R. Adams Cowley Shock Trauma Center. Sadly, he died from his injuries at 2:21 in the morning on September 21st, 2023. Mike McTeague served the Sandy Spring Volunteer Fire Department since 1990, both as an active member and more recently as a life member. He served as the alternate Montgomery County Fire Rescue Association delegate and former director to the Sandy Springs Volunteer Fire Department Board, and a representative at the National Fallen Firefighters Memorial. Mike was always there when the department needed him, and his lifelong commitment to Sandy Springs will be sorely missed. The Sandy Springs Volunteer Fire Department life member, Michael Augustine McTeague Jr., a veteran of the United States Air Force, was 71 years old and had faithfully served in the fire service for over 33 years. Rodney W. Pitts III. On the afternoon of October 19, 2023, at approximately 3:42, box alarm 46-40 was dispatched for a report of a dwelling fire in the 5200 block of Linden Heights Avenue in West Baltimore. Units arrived on the scene to find a two-story middle-of-the-group dwelling with heavy fire conditions. One of the first responding units to arrive on the scene was Engine Company 29, of which Rodney W. Pitts III was assigned. During firefighter Pitts' dire efforts to battle and extinguish this fire, he suffered severe injuries and was emergently treated at the scene and then transported to an area hospital. Tragically, he succumbed to his injuries. The heroic efforts and the gallantry of EMT firefighter Rodney W. Pitts III will forever remain in the hearts of the members of the Baltimore City Fire Department. EMT firefighter Rodney William Pitts III was 31 years old and had faithfully served the citizens of his hometown and the Baltimore City Fire Department for 1 year. Dylan Joseph Rinaldo. Lieutenant Dylan Joseph Rinaldo was born on March 14, 1997, in Ridgewood, New Jersey, and was called home on October 24th of 2023. Lieutenant Rinaldo, a 6-year veteran of the Baltimore City Fire Department, was battling a fire when he was severely burned, and then fought his bravest fight for 6 days. Dylan was known in his hometown of Fair Lawn, New Jersey, as a firehouse kid. As a toddler, he had turnout gear at the base of his bed and would listen to his father's radio. He joined his father for many years as a volunteer on Fair Lawn's Fire Company Engine 4. Dylan's dream of being a full-time firefighter was realized in 2017 when he was hired by the Baltimore City Fire Department. He brilliantly accomplished training and skills to be the best firefighter he could be for his brothers, sisters, and Baltimore. He always had a story to tell. Somehow he seemed to know everyone, and everyone is better for knowing Dylan. Dylan was intelligent, he was inspiring. George A. Cross, Jr. George A. Fred Cross, Jr. passed away in Salisbury, Maryland on August 25, 2023. Fred joined the Chestnut Ridge Volunteer Fire Company on September the 11th, 1961, and served for nearly 62 years. During his time at Chestnut Ridge, Fred served in many capacities, up to and including leading the fire company as president for numerous years. Fred was also a member of the United Communities Fire Company, a charter member of the Norrisville Volunteer Fire Company, and an honorary member of the Sudlersville Volunteer Fire Company. In order to be able to impact the volunteer fire service as a whole, Fred became president of the Baltimore County Volunteer Firefighters Association in 1975 to 1976. He was inducted into the Baltimore County Volunteer Firefighters Association Hall of Fame in 2002. From there, he moved to the state level, serving on the board of directors for the Maryland State Firemen's Association and serving as the president in 1995. At the time of his passing, he was serving as assistant treasurer to the Maryland State Firemen's Association. Fred's dedication to serve and protect began with his service in the Maryland National Guard, where he was activated to protect the citizens of Maryland, as well as deployed to Cambridge to protect the bridge during the Vietnam riots. In an interview for his company's newsletter, when asked if he had any advice for the current membership, he replied, "The training courses seem to get more demanding every year, but don't give up." Fred never gave up on his love for his family and his fire service. He truly believed that through hard work and dedication you could achieve all you wanted. May his legacy of devotion live on in those currently serving, and may he watch over all of us, his brothers and sisters in the fire service, and continue to keep us safe. Terry Edward Thompson, past president. Terry Thompson died suddenly on May 16, 2022. Terry graduated in 1969 from the Atholton High School and later went on to earn his associate degree from Catonsville Community College. Growing up, Terry was an active 4-H member, showing dairy cattle throughout the Mid-Atlantic with his brother, cousins, and uncle. In 1969, he made the decision to join the volunteer fire department, and it became a major part of the rest of his life. In the 1970s, Terry's involvement with the fire department continued to progress as he became one of the youngest fire chiefs in the area. Terry also became involved in the Howard County Volunteer Firemen's Association and the Maryland State Firemen's Association. Through the fire department, Terry was set up on a date with Patty Redmond, a match that would result in a 53-year relationship with 52 years of them married. Terry and Patty started a family in the 1980s with the birth of their daughter Teresa and son Patrick. It was also during these years that Terry became involved in politics, serving as campaign treasurer for Maryland State Senator Tom Yeager. Terry worked at the Howard County 911 Center and ultimately went to work at the Maryland Emergency Management Agency, serving as chief of staff and senior liaison. In the early 2000s, Terry went through the chairs of the Maryland State Firemen's Association and the Maryland Fire Chiefs Association, serving as president in both organizations. At the time of his death, Terry was a trustee for the Maryland State Firemen's Association, which helps to provide for the widows and orphans of fallen firefighters. Terry was also an active life member of the Savage Volunteer Fire Company and a life member of the 5th District Volunteer Fire Department. Terry is survived by his wife Patty, daughter Teresa, son Patrick, and their families. Charles Chuck Walker. Following in his father's footsteps, Chuck's fire service began at Prince George's County, Maryland, at Kentland Volunteer Fire Department Company 33 in October 1973. In April of 1974, he returned to his hometown of Lenoir, North Carolina, but Prince George's County is where he wanted to be a fireman. He became a member of the Chillimadelphi Volunteer Fire Department Company 34 in March 1975. He became a life member and served there until his passing in 2023. At Chillam, he served as captain, sergeant, lieutenant, assistant, and deputy chief, and was elected and served as vice president for several years and president in 2008. He served as alternate and delegate for Prince George's County conventions for many years. Chuck was a member of the first hazmat team for Prince George's County to run out of Berwyn Heights in the 1980s. He served as chairman of the Prince George's County Volunteer Fire and Rescue Association Safety and Standards Committee for several years. He scheduled and performed pump testing on the county's apparatus for both volunteer and county-owned equipment, as well as station and gear inspections, and serving on many other work groups for the county throughout his 50 years of service. Chuck was elected Prince George's County Fire and Rescue Association second vice president in 2010, vice president in 2011, and president in 2012, 14, and 15, and was inducted into the Hall of Fame in September of 2011. Chuck served as an alternate or delegate to the Maryland State Firemen's Association for many years. He served on the executive committee from 2013 through 2019 and served on the legislative committee, the convention committee, and the Volunteer Company Assistant Fund until his passing. Chuck was elected vice president for the MSFA in 2019, president in 2020, and inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2023. Chuck and his wife Sharon were married for 45 years and had 2 daughters. He was extremely proud of his family. Chuck had many accomplishments in his 50 years with the Volunteer Fire Service, but the most important was his fire family, who were always there and are still there to support him and support Sharon and the girls. And that meant the world to him. Joan Irene Cumberland. Joan Cumberland of Westminster passed away on Sunday, May 21st, 2023, in Carroll County. She was the loving wife of 55 years to Bob Cumberland, past president. Joan was a 1956 graduate of the Westminster High School. She retired from Bendix, where she worked as a switchboard operator. She also worked for C&P Telephone, the Westminster Answering Service, and drove a school bus for Harris. She was known as a wonderful wife and a hardworking woman. She was a friend to many that respected and looked up to her for her leadership and advice. She was an immense support to her husband, Bob, and all of his activities, including playing softball in 2 leagues and his active service as a volunteer firefighter for the Westminster Fire Department, all while he worked a full-time job. Joan was very active with the former Ladies Auxiliary of the Westminster Fire Department. She worked bingo and served food. She helped with banquets, dinners, and other fundraisers to support the fire department. After the Westminster Auxiliary discontinued, Joan joined the Winfield Ladies Auxiliary and would help them whenever she could. She became president of the Ladies Auxiliary to the Carroll County Firemen's Association and president of the Maryland State Firemen's Association from 1998 through 1999. That took her 13 years to advance into that position. She also served as president of the Carroll County Volunteer Emergency Services Association Past President's Club, secretary for the Cumberland Valley Firemen's Association, and past president of the Auxiliary to the Maryland Fire Chiefs Association for many years. Over those years, she traveled with Bob and was active in the MSFA and the National Volunteer Fire Council and made many, many friends along the way. She will be dearly missed.
Lois Jean Hetz, Ladies Auxiliary of the Maryland State Firemen's Association, past president, 2008 to 2009. Lois Jean Hetz was born in Altoona, Pennsylvania to Elder Marie and James Herbert Shell Sr. on October 1st, 1945, with siblings Peggy Zembauer, who was past president 1986-1987, and James Shell Jr. Lois grew up in LaVale, Maryland, and graduated from Allegheny High School. She went on to continue her education at Frostburg State University. Lois married Harry Hetz in April of 1966, just before he shipped out for Air Force boot camp. When Harry finished boot camp, Lois joined him at his training assignment in Biloxi, Mississippi, and continued on with him as he transferred to Caribou, Maine. Following Harry's discharge from the Air Force, they moved to Beltsville, Maryland, where Lois managed her daycare business. Lois's hobbies included traveling, counted cross-stitching, reading, and serving in the Fire Department Auxiliary. She traveled to such places as Australia, Japan, Switzerland, Germany, France, Italy, and Canada. She also took extensive trips across the U.S. in their motorhome. She began her fire service involvement with her family in the LaVale Volunteer Fire Department Ladies Auxiliary in 1963. Lois has more than 50-plus years as a life member of the LaVale Volunteer Fire Department Ladies Auxiliary. Lois joined the Beltsville Volunteer Fire Department Ladies Auxiliary in 1970 and is a 53-year life member. She has served as a delegate and chair of delegates to the Ladies Auxiliary to the Prince George County Volunteer Fire and Rescue Association and the Ladies Auxiliary of the Maryland State Firemen's Association. She has also served on the State's Auxiliary Constitution and Bylaws Committee, the Officers Procedure Committee, the Auditing Committee, Sick and Publicity Committee, and County Organizer for Prince George's County. Lois served as Transportation Committee Chairperson for the State Auxiliary for 11 years. Rising through the leadership ranks as an officer of the State Auxiliary is typically a 13-year commitment. Lois completed those 13 years and went on to become president in 2008, and she was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2009. Lois came home to Prince George's County and rose through the ranks to become the 82nd president in 2014. She served 3 years as a member of the Board of Directors and served as chairwoman of the Board of Directors in 2017. In 2011, Lois was recognized for her dedication and service as an honoree of the Prince George County Volunteer Fire and Rescue Association Special Tribute Dinner. She was inducted into the County Auxiliary Hall of Fame in 1990. Lois received the Prince George County Volunteer Fire and Rescue Association Norris Beard Humane Award in 2006. Lois is a 53-year life member of the Beltsville Volunteer Fire Department Ladies Auxiliary. She served on various committees and led the Fire Prevention Committee for more than 20 years. She has served 5 terms as a Beltsville Auxiliary President. along with holding the office of vice president, and at her death was still serving as their chaplain. Lois has a strong faith and trust in God. She was a member of the Faith Community Church in Salisbury, Maryland. Within the fire service, she shared her faith through her membership in the Pierce M. Damewood Memorial Chapter of the Fellowship of Christian Firefighters. Lois married Harry Hetz, her childhood sweetheart, in 1966, and the Lord has blessed them with 57 years of sharing life and adventures together. Lois and Harry had one daughter, Deanna, with her husband Grady, and 2 grandchildren. In addition, Lois is survived by her sister, Peggy Zembauer, her brother, James Shell Jr., and extended family. Lois will be greatly missed by all.
Charles E. Barnhart, Jr. Deacon Charles E. Charlie Barnhart, Jr. of Tawnytown passed away on Monday, April the 8th of 2024. Charlie graduated from the Francis Scott Key High School in 1972, where he was active in the choral music department, singing all 4 years and participating in musicals. Family life for Charlie was not a bed of roses. He believed the church would never have influenced his life if it had not been for Mary and Kent Hall. They took him into their home and taught him that God's child that he was someone who mattered. Helping people gave Charlie a great deal of satisfaction. He had a long history of serving within the fire community, beginning with the Tawnytown Fire Company in 1973, where he was recording secretary, chaplain, and ambulance captain over the years. During this time, he was employed as a dispatcher at the Carroll County 911 Emergency Center, and in 1983 became the first paid engineer at the Reese Volunteer Fire Company. Charlie also became the first EMS training coordinator for the county. He was elected president of the Carroll County Volunteer Firemen's Association in 1989 and was made an honorary life member of the Union Bridge Fire Company. In 1998, he became a life member of the Tawnytown Fire Company. He served as Carroll County Volunteer Emergency Services Association, as chaplain of the Cumberland Valley Firemen's Association, and the Maryland State Firemen's Association since 2001. He started the Sunday morning worship service at the annual convention in 2006 and was inducted into the Maryland State Firemen's Association Hall of Fame in 2013. He was a school bus driver and eventually owned and operated Barnhart's bus service, serving Carroll County Public Schools. More recently, he worked for some local funeral homes. In addition to the fire service, Charlie was very involved in the work with the Lord. He served as choral director from 1987 to 1998 at the Trinity Lutheran Church in Tawnytown. He also served as deacon at Trinity until he left to become deacon at Keysville Lutheran Church up until the time of his death. He officiated at many weddings and funerals throughout the community and will be missed by many of those he has served through the years. Pamela A. Kyle. Pamela Kyle, 74, of Cumberland, Maryland, passed away on Sunday, March 18, 2022. She was born on November 16, 1947 in Cumberland to the late Charles E. and Joyce B. Crawford. Pam graduated from the Allegheny High School in 1965. She attended the United Church of Christ in Bowling Green, the Flintstone Methodist Church, where she was a lay speaker, and later Mountaintop Holiness Church, where she did the bulletins. She was a member of the Bowling Green Ladies Auxiliary and held all the offices, including the office of president, many times. She was serving as the secretary at the time of her death. She was a member of the Allegheny Garrett County Volunteer Fire and Rescue Association Ladies Auxiliary, where she served on many committees and served as president. She was a member of the Flintstone Fire Department. She served the Ladies Auxiliary to the Maryland State Firemen's Association up the ladder to chaplain. Her dedication is remarkable and leaves a lasting legacy. Ronald V. Grabenstein, Sr. Ronald V. Grabenstein, Sr., age 88, went to be with the Lord on February 24, 2024, following his battle with cancer. He fought very hard to the end. There was never a time when he didn't have family or friends by his side. Born January 9, 1936, to Alphonsus and Anastasia Grabenstein. Ron graduated from Fort Hill High School, the class of 1954, and always enjoyed reunions and luncheons and get-togethers. Ron joined the United States Air Force out of high school and served his country as an airman first class from 1958 in Yuma, Arizona. Ron worked in his father's masonry business while in school before joining the Air Force, and continued when he returned before and during working in the maintenance department at Sacred Heart Hospital, where he retired in 1999 with 33 years of service. Ron was a lifetime member of the St. Mary's Catholic Church. He was a member of the American Legion Post 13, District 16 Volunteer Fire Department, where he served as chief for 16 years, and the Allegheny Garrett Cumberland Valley Fire Rescue Association, where he served as president in 1983 and 1984, and the Maryland State Firemen's Association, where he served on the executive board. He was a dedicated member of the District 16 Volunteer Fire Department, where he responded to their emergencies, hauled many gallons of drinking water to area residents, called bingo every Thursday night for many years, and enjoyed the Saturday night dances, where he loved to call the square dances. Ron's other accomplishments included past chief, president, trustee, and chaplain at District 16, Allegheny Garrett County's Volunteer Fire Rescue Association Hall of Fame, the Maryland State Firemen's Association Hall of Fame, and the Maryland State Executive Board. He received Fireman of the Year 4 years and Special Recognition Ambulance Service in 2007. Ron's legacy continues to live with all of us, and he will be greatly missed. Linda Ann Dusa. Linda Dusa, age 65, of Edgewood, Maryland, passed away on April 24, 2023. Born in Killeen, Texas, she was the daughter of William and Elizabeth Foster. Linda was a member of the Abingdon Fire Company for 45 years and served as the senior EMS officer for 20 years. She was currently serving as the EMS Assistant Chief of Abingdon, an EMS coordinator for the Harford County Volunteer Fire and EMS Association, and chair of the EMS Committee for the Maryland State Firemen's Association. She was serving her third term as the MSFA representative to the State EMS Advisory Committee, SEMSAC. Her accolades include the Joshua Hunt EMS Person of the Year Award, membership in both the MSFA and the Harford Cecil Firefighters Hall of Fame, as well as the Edgewood High School Hall of Fame. Another accolade was the Maryland State Council Knights of Columbus EMT of the Year, Paramedic of the Year in Harford County at the VFW Post 5337. She was a member of the Prince of Peace Catholic Church, where she was a lector, an extraordinary minister of the Eucharist, and secretary of the parish council. She loved to camp in her motorhome, go on cruises, and reading. In her travels, she went on over 30 cruises, her favorites being Alaska and Bermuda. She is survived by her husband, William Dusa Jr., her partner, her plural, well known for her matching shirts and their reference as the Deucey. She will be dearly missed. Herbert Carroll Dowell, Jr. Herbert Dowell, Jr., 88, of Conway, South Carolina, and formerly of Owings, Maryland, passed away on December 30th, 2023. He was born November 14, 1935, in Paris, Maryland, now part of Owings. Herb grew up in Calvert County and graduated from the Calvert High School in 1953. He farmed tobacco and drove school buses with his family's business, Dowell Bus Service. Herb joined the United States Army in 1958 and served in Germany before being honorably discharged in 1960 with a Good Conduct Medal. He returned home and married Barbara Ann Moncrief on June 30th, 1962, and he lived in Owings on the family farm. He was employed as a security guard at the Naval Research Base in Randall Cliff. Herbert joined the North Beach Volunteer Fire Department at age 17 and was a life member, serving 60 years as a volunteer. He served as vice president and president. He was active with the Southern Maryland Volunteer Firemen's Association, where he served as president. He was active with the Maryland State Firemen's Association, where he served as chairman of the Surplus Property Committee. In his spare time, he enjoyed listening to bluegrass music, camping, attending Redskins games, where he was a season ticket holder for many years, and the NASCAR, especially Carl Yarborough. His dedication throughout his company will be missed by each and every one.
We will now have a scripture reading by Lay's Auxiliary Vice Chaplain Samantha Butterfield.
The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me into the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever.
Thank you. We'll now have the poem Last Call on Earth, First Call in Heaven by author Stacy Faust.
The alarm rings out, turnout gear is donned, all rushing about, and engines climbed on. Then it's off to the scene to do what they must, saving a life or building up trust of a small, frightened child, the weak and the frail. They know what to do. They know what they do what they know. They respond without fail. But life has its twists, its bumps and its turns. Life isn't simple, as everyone learns. No one is better, each equals the other. Everyone here is a sister or brother. But a life that is lost in the midst of a call brings new meaning to life, to the great and the small. A last call on earth doesn't mean it's the end. There's a first call in heaven for those we call friend. And once the last call has been sounded out loud, a reverent hush falls over the crowd. And there in the quiet inside of each soul comes a first call from heaven, the ultimate goal.
Thank you, Stacy. We'll now honor our brothers and sisters who have died this past year.
Allegheny County.
Thelma J. Ware. Margaret E. Hardman.
Carl D. Blank Sr., Donald R. Reed, Ronald V. Grabenstein Sr.,
Barbara A. Corbin.
Jackie B. Bowman, Andrew R. Schweitzer, Emery D. Lancaster, Samuel McCullough, Judy E. Ravenscroft, Richard G. Hawkins,
Lois J. Hetz. Virginia Killander.
James W. Reno,
Helen E. Blank. Sandra J. Deffenbaugh.
Earl D. Pope, John A. McCusker, Maxine R. Robertson, Thomas L. Brenniger, Rachel A. Dayton, Paul E. Metz, Samuel Metz,
Anne Arundel County.
Douglas L. Hellick, Philip L. Lawman Sr., James V. Hardesty, John T. Moreland Jr.,
Mildred E. Berry. Geraldine M. Burton.
George R. Crosby, Donald E. Smith,
Anita R. Spingle.
Rodney G. Tomlinson,
Shirley A. Belford.
Bernard G. Cripple.
Rita A. Post.
Dustin T. Hantz.
Janice M. Burnley. Shirley A. Steele.
R. Alvin Basil. Charles W. Cadle, Jr. Carol A. Shores. William Zamasny. William Purdy.
Baltimore City.
Rodney W. Pitts III. Dylan J. Ronaldo.
Baltimore County.
Robert E. Platt. Anita L. England. Millard W. McCleary, Jr. Danny R. Wilhelm. Kenneth W. Brady. Roy P. Elder, Jr. Pamela Boyd. George A. Cross, Jr. Donna L. Gribble. Bert C. R. Lancaster, Sr. Frank P. March III. Bradford A. Thomas. Ruth A. Albin. Elizabeth A. Cole. Marie A. Sims. Danny R. Wilhelm. Elizabeth A. Cole. Louis F. Stifler, Jr. Ronald Cassette, Sr. Rosemary S. Chapman. Albert L. Ludwig, Sr. William W. Martin. Michael T. Mahan. Norman C. Lamb. Richard L. Weller. Arthur R. Cohn. George H. Stinchcomb. James C. Karras. Christopher F. Goss. Joseph G. Sagal II. John W. McLean. Toby S. Carter. Terry L. Stockdale. William J. Wachillis. John I. Schaefer, Sr.
Calvert County.
Thomas W. Brady. Norman E. Hawkins. George W. Owens III. Bruce E. Stallings.
Elsie M. Buckmaster.
Herbert C. Dow, Jr.
Gail P. Tawney.
Ronald J. Tyrell. Matthew L. Weber. Thomas W. Brady. Ronald J. Terrell.
Caroline County.
Robert Balderson, Sr. Wendy A. Rhodes. Robert M. Fish.
Carroll County.
Elizabeth B. Arnold. June B. Miller.
Joseph G. Sagal II. Edgar M. Stagner. Adam T. Brown. Timothy C. Brown. John M. Freem, Sr. Fern R. Haynes. Richard E. Lawrence, Sr. Charles B. Miller. Ronnie W. Noggle. Carol E. Selby. David P. Waybright.
Mary J. Waybright. Dorothy M. Krog. Rosemarie Parker. Thelma M. Krantz. Barbara A. Black. Mary J. Ecker. Carolyn E. Knight.
William F. Kolpak, Jr. Simon P. Magruder.
Mary J. Waybright.
Donald C. Bowersox. Daniel S. Brock. Betty J. Gregg. Patricia A. Spangler.
Nancy L. Yingling.
Robert E. Platt.
Charles E. Barnhart, Jr.
Ronnie W. Noggle.
Marion L. Jordan.
George W. Keeney, Jr. John D. Buffington.
Joan I. Cumberland.
Clarence E. Ruby. Earl R. Baker, Sr.
Yvonne E. Baker. Kathy B. Buckingham. Joan I. Cumberland.
Cecil County.
T. J. Bolton. James F. Pardee, Sr. Douglas P. Shelley.
Sally B. Tigg.
Letitia Quazazier. Clyde A. Nafsinger.
Susan S. Barker.
John L. Crothers, Sr. Vaughn W. Potts, Jr. C. Thomas Davis. Frank W. Muller, Jr. John L. Bittner, Jr. Robert F. Caffrey. Walter C. Clark, Jr. Pierre N. LeBron II. Frederick B. Mott, Jr. Rodney A. Founds. Frank W. Muller, Jr. Vaughn W. Potts, Jr.
Charles County.
Joseph A. Gregan, Sr. Donna M. DeMar. William W. Atkinson. Robert G. Eastburn. Joseph H. Hunt. Barbara A. Cook. Michael C. Burnham. Kenneth C. Watson.
Lois A. Fowler.
Edward R. Kalana. Edward L. Sanders, Jr. Nolan B. Woodland. Stephen R. Shiflett. James H. Williams II.
Sharon M. Winkler.
Barbara A. Cook, William Harris, Joseph C. Lucas, William Pinkney,
Dorchester County.
Vernon L. Hurley, John A. Blake, Emerson W. Gundy, Linda A. Powley, Charles W. Colburn, Jr., Keith S. Howard, Vernon L. Hurley, Donald F. Johnson, Robert W. Parks, Douglas M. Ridley, Harlan F. Jaden,
Frederick County.
Michael A. McTighe, Jr., Clarence L. Reinhardt, Christopher D. Moreland, Charles R. Porter, Richard M. Wilhide, Jerry B. Barr, Vincent A. Izzo, Jr., Charles A. Vogel, Hailey A. Orndorff,
Roy L. Ripien,
Clarence L. Reinhardt, Herbert L. Strasburg, Jr., H. Richard Zecker,
Joy P. Dieter,
Richard E. Baer,
Kenneth W. Stein,
John C. Welch,
Shirley J. Linhart,
Stephen T. Naborczak, Jr.,
Gladys I. Poffenberger, Edna M. Smith,
Stephen T. Naborczak, Jr., Kenneth E. Dickin, Betty J. Fleming, William C. Baker III,
Mary M. Brandenburg,
Floydie L. DeGrange, William G. Foster, William J. Magers, Harry F. Main, Jr., Alice A. Morris.
Shirley V. Moxley.
Roy Taylor. Kevin R. West. Clarence R. Orndorff. Dale W. Sanders. Edward J. Ridenauer.
Gloria J. Gladhill.
Susan K. Mossholder.
Naomi B. Williams.
Garrett County.
Mary K. Bach. Alice L. Snyder.
Charles A. Yammer, Jr.
Judith A. Burrell.
Robert M. Durst. Ernest J. Gregg, Jr.
Harford County.
Judith A. Vannersdale.
Linda A. Dusa.
Rose M. Crashaw.
Jean Krantz. I. Dale Pennington. Robert L. Kirkwood.
Dorothy J. Long. Ruth A. Poole. Mary E. Byrne.
B. George A. Cross, Jr. Robert K. Gall, Sr. Charles E. Leonard. John M. Schaefer, Sr.
Howard County.
Wayne R. Colburn, Jr. William R. Faith, Jr. Doris M. Merson. Joseph E. Slavnatenik. John J. Klein, Sr. Thomas F. Merson.
Ruth A. Parlett.
Richard E. Blankenship, Jr. Terry E. Thompson. Maynard N. Wines. Carl W. Buell. Shirley J. Mills. James U. Pearsall. William D. Spicer, Sr., Ronald A. Van Sant,
Kent County.
Bruce W. Owens, Elmer E. Horsey, Bruce W. Owens, Charles S. Bryce, Glenda M. Durker, Jerry C. Spence,
Montgomery County.
Paula J. Durbin, Donald M. Simmons,
Mary M. Morgul,
James F. Gardner,
B. Rosalind Bowman,
Robert B. Harding, Donald M. Simmons, Forbes E. T. Claxton, Jean Fairchild Adams, Cheryl R. McGowan,
Josephine Phillips,
Mary E. Queenan, Jacques L. Smith, Kevin J. Teague, James F. Gardner, Robert W. Bruner, Sr., Charles W. Marth, Ronnie W. Noggle,
Kevin R. Nichols,
William F. Walters, Larry Fisk, Vernon L. Lewis, Jr., Michael A. McTighe, Jr.,
Maureen L. Hamilton,
Reverend Brian J. Cook, Mitchell L. Molinoff, Andy B. Venn,
Prince George's County.
Jack E. Montgomery, Jr., Stephen L. Corbin,
Lois J. Hetz,
John Mahoney, Frank D. Zook, Willis L. Magnum, Jr.,
Betty L. Phillips,
David A. Levy,
Robert W. Bell. Stephen M. King. Leona M. Shrewsbury. Charles L. Baldy.
Juanita L. Colwell.
Charles W. Walker. Clifton L. Moody. William L. Honeycutt. Audrey M. Thurston. Robert W. Mogul. Matthew L. Weber. Arthur H. Douglas, Jr. Paul G. Trader. Richard E. Blankenship, Sr.
Nancy A. Burge.
John E. Calley. Laudus A. Turney. William E. Watts II. Donald L. Strine. John J. Weibel. Larry A. Bivens. David R. Hicks. Robert B. Maddox. Robert L. Jaffe. Arthur H. Douglas, Jr. Kenneth S. Rose, Sr. William J. Johnston.
Queen Anne's County.
James O. Lewis, Sr. Mildred B. Casey. George A. Cross, Jr. George A. Cross, Jr. David L. Olds.
Somerset County.
Leroy A. Hall, Sr. Floyd W. Hancock. Greg E. Peacock. Edward A. Plank, Sr. Jerry B. Reynolds.
St. Mary's County.
Ann E. Huseman.
Robert S. Johnson, Jr. Richard S. Pilkington. Stanley J. Williams, Jr. Thomas W. Bell III. James H. Bowles, Jr. John F. Mattingly, James F. Medzinski, Bryce C. Troshback,
Julia F. Bull,
Charles F. Evans Sr., William F. Hill,
Barbara A. Montgomery,
William L. Turner, Jr., Stanley J. Williams, Jr., John F. Wood, Jr., Aaron E. Birch,
Cheryl D. Norton, Margaret W. Schindler,
Stanley J. Williams, Jr., John F. Wood, Jr.,
Mildred R. Collison,
George L. Franklin, Francis A. Cullison, John G. Cullison, Stephen M. King, Robin A. Mattingly, Ann F. Lawrence, John F. Wood, Jr.,
Talbot County.
Gregory E. Fries,
Washington County.
Abram Bricker, Jr., Richard P. Campello, Roy L. Funk, Floyd H. Klein, Jr., Sharon L. Sprecher, Mabel R. Armstrong, Catherine L. Jenkins, Michael M. Main, Mabel R. Armstrong, Patricia A. Johnston, Loretta Kinsey, Richard L. Stallings, Jacqueline J. Brumball, Loretta B. Elgin, Richard L. Stallings, Donna J. Williams, Richard L. Stallings, Clyde M. Grove, William B. Gay Sr., Terrence L. Royer,
Belinda K. Anderson,
Grayson R. Babington, Ernest W. Foltz, Sr.,
Shirley J. Heiser,
Floyd H. Klein, Jr., Gary M. Schlotterbeck,
Wicomico County,
D. Allen Richardson, Willard L. Pusey, David A. Ensley, Jr.,
Worcester County,
Thomas S. Adelote,
Sarah D. Thompson, Kelvina W. Fisher,
Richard E. Blevins, William H. Thorns,
We'll now do the flag folding ceremony by the Harford County Honor Guard, reading by Diana Caldo.
The flag folding ceremony is a dramatic and uplifting way to honor the flag and our uniformed personnel. It represents the same religious principles on which our country was originally founded. The portion of the flag denoting honor is the canton of blue, containing the stars representing the states our veterans served in uniform. The canton field of blue dresses from left to right and is inverted when draped as a pall on the casket of a veteran who has served our country in uniform. In the Armed Forces of the United States, at the ceremony of retreat, the flag is lowered, folded into a triangle fold, and kept under watch throughout the night as a tribute to our nation's honored dead. The next morning, it is brought out. At the ceremony of reveille, the flag is briskly run aloft as a symbol of our belief in the resurrection of the body. Tonight, we will honor our personnel who wear a different uniform, a uniform of a person that defends our homeland every day. Tonight, we will defer from the traditional reading and replace the words with a fire service perspective. We do not mean in any way to disrespect our veterans. We have chosen a series of words that best characterize the true identity of our American heroes. First Fold Initiative, for those who are not afraid to train and dedicate themselves to the fire service and the protection of their communities. Second Fold Honor, which needs to be bestowed upon a group of individuals who remains consistent in service across the nation. Third Fold Courage, to all those who place themselves in harm's way each and every day to afford safety to both friends and strangers. Fourth fold, valor, in recognition of those who gave the ultimate sacrifice carrying out their duties in the fire service. Fifth fold, strength, in heart, body, and soul, both inner and outer, that is required to meet the challenges of the post-9/11 world. Sixfold, bravery. We are the breed that rushes into the eye of the storm while others seek safe refuge. Seventhfold, patience, a special fold with a distinct, crisp line, a line of caring that spans from care of children, elderly, and the injured in a time of crisis. Eighthfold, appreciation for firefighters who hold a special sense of the fragile nature of the human being. Each moment of service we are able to give to others is one that is cherished. We appreciate being able to help others with no desire to be recognized by those we serve. Ninthfold, dedication. In our profession, whether volunteer or career, we are all heralded as professionals. We all love this profession, especially those of us who volunteer. Guess how many present here today service our citizens as both a volunteer and a career firefighter. Find this love of duty in any other profession. 10th fold, faith. Any firefighter who has seen life given or taken in the course of their duty has some taste of what faith truly is. Faith can be more than just religion. It can be a belief in what you do and in those you work with. 11th fold, ingenuity. Like the various stars and stripes on our great flag, personnel in the fire service always find ways to make things work and have confidence in their ability to succeed in their mission. This is patterned after our ancestors who crafted our story of freedom. 12th fold, family. The family is the binding fiber of our service. Be it relatives through bloodlines or our brothers in the fire service, our group is truly one huge family dedicated to the community and to each other in good times and in bad. 13th fold, freedom. Firefighters fall into the mold of our past for free will and our personal freedom. Our creed is to prevail in time of crisis in any situation which might threaten the public safety. The final tuck. As the red and white stripes are wrapped into the blue, as the light of day vanishes into the darkness of night, remember our 13 folds of fire service tradition: initiative, honor, courage, valor, strength, bravery, patience, appreciation, dedication, faith, ingenuity, family, and freedom. May we never forget those who have given their life to our public safety community. God be with you till we meet again.
Please rise for Amazing Grace, followed by taps and the Lord's Prayer and benediction. Chaplain Robin Shore will now do the Lord's Prayer and the benediction.
Good evening. Before I start, can you please allow the families at the closing of the ceremony, the families of those that we honored this evening, to exit before everybody else does. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. This ends our ceremony tonight.